Go. All right. Thank you so much for letting me know there was no sound to start with. As I was saying, I'm JayDreamerZ. Welcome to today's episode. I'm going to be talking about the sun. Is the sun getting hotter? Is it getting brighter? Has it changed colors? And are they trying to hide the sun? That's the subject of today. Let me jump back into the chat just to make sure everything's going well. I appreciate you guys in the live stream helping me out and letting me know that you couldn't hear me at first. I'll look for a thumbs up and then we'll begin the presentation if you can hear me now. Hopefully you guys can hear me now. And I think, let me see here. I'm just going to check the chat real quick. Okay. It looks like it's all good now. Thank you guys so much for letting me know. I appreciate you. All right, now, listen, if you're watching and you notice weird, strange anomalies happening with the sun, I've seen double suns, triple suns, people noticing things that look like they're coming in and out of the sunspots, all kinds of weird stuff happening with the sun. And this is nothing brand new. The sun has done some strange things throughout history. Of course, there's the biblical example of Joshua and the sun actually stopping in the sky. And there are accounts of the sun rising in the west and setting in the east. There's accounts of the sun dancing around, flashing and flickering. The sun's acting really weird lately. Why is that important? Well, it's important for people like myself because we need to keep our eyes on the skies to be sky watchers. Why? Because that's what the ancients did. They knew how close they were to the apocalypse by keeping their eyes on what used to be known as the luminaries, the lights in the sky, and watching for anomalies, strange patterns, strange things that would happen. The moon is no exception. We might talk about the moon a little bit here in a minute too. But first, let's talk about the color of the sun. Usually, if you do a quick Google search or an internet search, you'll see pictures like this. NASA loves to paint the sun yellow just like this. I mean, we all know the sun's yellow, right? Don't we? Is the sun yellow? It used to be yellow. If you look up pictures of the sun, you'll see a fiery lava sun as portrayed right here. They want you to know the sun is yellow, orange, hot, fire, but it's not. It's not at all. It's something entirely different. And I'll be speaking from my perspective based on my research and my own beliefs. I believe that the sun is just like the moon. It's a light in the sky. It's a plasma that is up there in the heavens above us. And it used to be yellow. As a matter of fact, I just did a quick Google search of cartoon suns. If you look up, cartoons of how people depict the sun, with the exception of like a coloring book drawing or something, you'll see that the sun is almost across the board always depicted as yellow. It's the yellow sun, right? Superman used to be known for getting his power from Earth's yellow sun. Now, if the sun was only yellow at sunset or sunrise on occasion, then that wouldn't be a thing that happened in the comic book industry. They would have said Superman gets his power from our white sun, but he doesn't. If you look up crayons and crayon drawings of the sun, just like any child would, and just like I used to when I was a kid, the sun was drawn with a yellow crayon. Sometimes with even a little bit of orange in there, but oftentimes it was yellow, the yellow sun. Many of you remember this. The reason that so many people can remember this is because this is a fast change that's happening in our world today. This is tied into the concept of time speeding up. The luminaries are how we keep track of time and how we adjust our clocks and our calendars and stuff. And when the luminaries speed up or slow down, so must our timekeeping methods. So must our clocks. That's why we have so many updates and stuff on the time and why we're constantly changing the time. Here you can see gloss yellow colored paint. That's sun colored paint. This one right here, it's kind of hard to see because I'm right in front of it, but if I move myself, you can see this one right here is called sun yellow. Sun yellow. All right, and next up we've got another sun yellow. That one right there you can see. Oh, it's kind of hard to see, but it says sun yellow, right? We associate the color yellow with the sun, but this is how they actually show the sun. So this is from a Wikipedia article about the sun. This is the first image that they pull up. This is very interesting to me, to look at the sun as being white, which is kind of strange because they have like this sort of vignette shadow around the edges, like it's a planet or a moon or something weird. I know that all of these pictures are probably not real and probably all kinds of fakery happening, but it's blindingly white. If you look outside, I challenge you to go take your own picture at high noon with your smartphone. Just go out, point it at the sun. It's not going to damage your equipment or anything like that. They don't want you to stare at it. They don't want you to look at it. They want you to think you're going to go blind if you look at the sun. They want you to think your camera's going to break and stuff. I take pictures of the sun all of the time, and I'll show you what those pictures look like. Another strange thing that's happening is these sunspots. This is inconceivable to me. This is strange that the blindingly bright light source makes dark spots. And we're supposed to be convinced. We're told that's, no, it's still really bright. Like, no, it's not. Look, it's black. See these sunspots? They're black. It's missing light. So it kind of frustrates me on the inside whenever mainstream media tells me what to think, and I'm looking right at it. Like, I can see it with my eyes. I can go out there and look at it when I can see the sunspots, and I can see it's missing light in some places. This is not just cooler areas or whatever their explanation is. This is a black dot on the sun. Now think about it. If the sun can have little black dots all over it, isn't it possible that the sun itself can just go black and disappear? That's what prophecies say that will happen to the sun. Inversely, because the sun and the moon are basically flip-flops of one another, the moon has its own version of what appear to be sunspots, but it's the opposite. It has bright white dots all over it. What the hell? Like, just to change subjects for just a moment, but it's still related, because I believe that the sun and the moon are actually created by a portion of the firmament above us. As the light from beyond, or the plasma that's wrapping around the dome, passes through, that light passes through and it creates projections and points of focus that we call stars, planets, the moon, the sun, etc. There's a reason why the sun and the moon look like they're the same size in the sky, because they are. And one has dark spots while the other one has little points of light all over it. These lights will appear, they'll disappear. There's all kinds of strange things happening with the moon as well. If you're interested in a deep dive rabbit hole, look up transient lunar phenomenon. NASA did a whole cataloging of strange lights, domes that were seen on the moon. People were seeing domes many times where people think, we're taught that these are craters and stuff. They're not. They're actually domes. This image that you're seeing, which we call the moon, is inverse of the reality. It's upside down and inverse. It's inverted. So I think that's interesting too. So we should also, while we keep our eyes on the sun and we watch to see what it's doing and how it's acting up, we should also keep our eyes on the sister light in the heavens, which is the moon. What does the sun really look like? Well, this right here is from NASA's YouTube channel. It says sunset time-lapse from the International Space Station. And as you can see, blindingly white. Now, I don't think I can zoom into this, but if you look closely, there's actually blue just around the outside edges there. And here's another one from space where you can see the blue corona. This is way beyond the atmosphere. What's this blue corona around the sun doing? Why is there a tinge of blue? The sun is white with a tinge of blue. And if you look hard enough on the internet, I found it on NASA's website, but they've since taken the page down or moved it somewhere else. They have admitted and said, and there's many articles about this, that the sun is white with a little bit of turquoise in it, which is interesting to me because it's prophecy, basically. It's prophetic in nature. Here we have a regular smartphone picture of the sun. There's some trees and stuff. This is exactly what it looks like when I take a picture of it. That is white. That's blindingly white. It's not just white. It's so bright. You have to wear sunglasses these days. I do. You don't have to. But whereas when I was younger, you know, I could tolerate the sunlight. I could go out, be in the sun for a long time, get a tan. I had to stay out there for a very long time in order to actually get sunburned, if that even happened. But now it's increased in its amplitude, its brightness. It's getting brighter and brighter in the sky, and it's starting to create a little bit of blue around it at times as well. Here's a super zoomed in view of another picture of the sun that someone took. And as you can see, blindingly white, right? This is probably why they're pushing all of this sunscreen so much these days. Not because people didn't know about sunscreen in the 50s or whatever, but because it's cooking you faster. It's heating things up faster because it is getting hotter and hotter and hotter because it's a light. It's a point of focus. And what we call daytime is just the redistributed light that is coming out of that point of focus. When the redistributed light that we call daytime, let's say it's like this, like where my fingers touch, that's the sun. That's a point of focus, right? And this triangle that goes down, this would represent daytime as it moves over our world. Well, whenever it gets more and more focused, daylight, daytime hours get shorter and shorter as the sun quickens on its path in the sky, on its circuit. It's actually moving around in its circuit quicker and quicker as the days advance forward, which leads to the shortening of days and the shortening of time. But as it gets more and more focused, as daytime gets more and more focused, that point of focus will become brighter and brighter. What happens with a light, whenever it's a cool light or it's more diffuse or whatever, it's more of a red spectrum. The sun used to be painted as red in the ancient world. You can track it and you can look as people painted the sun from being red to orange to yellow to white to whitish blue. And what is next? If this pattern continues, blue is next, which is why we're starting to see a blue ring at the edge of the sun right there. We'll come back to that. Here's another one. Just way too bright. Look at that. That's whiter than white, you know? That's extremely bright white sun. And it's hot. And one of these days, it's going to start setting things on fire. And your governments are going to have to insist that you stay indoors during peak solar activity and whatnot. And they're going to start doing things, and have already started doing things, to decrease this heat, to try to lessen the effect of it. We'll talk about that here in a minute too. Let's go back to antiquity. Let me check on the chat real quick too. And then we'll come back and talk about Phaethon and the chariot of the sun. All right, looks good. I don't see anything wrong with the audio or anything. Sweet. Let's jump on back in. Let's see, where were we? Bright white, super bright sun. Phaethon. Phaethon, the son of Helios. So, a long time ago, according to the myths and the legends, there was the son of the sun god. His name was Phaethon. And take a look right here. He requested, as a gift from the sun god, to drive the chariot of the sun. He was told, ask me anything else. Nobody can drive the sun chariot but me, says Helios. And he insisted he wanted to drive the chariot of the sun. Guess what happens after he drives the chariot of the sun? He goes out of control. He falls with the chariot, with the sun itself, and the sun, not this guy, right? Not some person on an actual chariot with actual horses in the sky. The sun itself, which is what this guy represents. This guy represents an aspect of the sun itself. When the sun was acting anomalous, what did the sun do that was so strange? It lowered down into the sky, or down towards the land, according to the legend, and burned the earth and scorched the earth and set the earth on fire as it moved about in its circuit. It had to be corrected. That's not the only example, though. We also have the tale of Maui. So for those of you who have seen Moana, and I have decoded Moana on my Truth in Movies series, you'll come across the story where Maui brags about how he roped the sun. The story is the sun was going so fast in antiquity. Sound familiar, right? It was moving about, speeding around in its circuit above us so quickly that it was causing problems for the people down below. So they called out to Maui. He threw a rope around the sun and he pulled on it to slow it down. The sun needed to be slowed down because it was going so fast. Oh, I got little sun rays coming out of my head. This is the story of Maui. All of these stories about Maui and the other gods and demigods and whatever of old are real history. They're not just fun bedtime stories that people tell their children to lie to them before they go to sleep. You may, if you want to, or you could just let them watch the news. one of those. But this is ancient news. This is ancient actual historic events that now today we project our conditions that we have today, which are much different, onto the ancient past, and we go, oh, that couldn't happen. That never could have happened, right? There's no way that the sun was going too fast and it needed to slow down. Or inversely, there were times when the sun was going too slow and needed to speed up. That happens every other apocalyptic cycle that we go through. The cycle we are in now is the cycle where the earth will be burned by fire from above. The fire from above comes from mostly the sun. And it starts to speed up, and daylight gets shorter and shorter, and that sunlight gets more and more focused and more and more focused. And these legends will be made again after the apocalypse, when some of you who survive will be asked, what happened? What was life like before the world turned upside down? You'll have to describe it in the best way that you can. And your descriptions of what happened will turn into the future myths and legends and stories as you become the future patriarchs and matriarchs of the new world. This is from a children's storybook. It says, it's about Ra, which is the sun god, and Maui, right? Why are you doing this to me? Screamed Ra. Because we need you to slow down. You travel across the sky so quickly, there's no time for us to do our work. There's no time to play, said Maui. We need more time in our day. How many people here, by a show of emojis in the chat, have said this? This is something that was said in antiquity. This is an ancient myth that's, you know, a children's story. It's a fairy tale. How many people are saying this today? You're living during these times, historic times, the times whenever the sky is strange and weird things are happening and being seen all over the place. I mean, I could go into great detail about the great many strange anomalies and weird things that are being seen in our skies lately. But just for the sake of this video, let's focus on the sun. What if I don't agree? Asked Ra. I will have to introduce you to my grandmother, said Maui, raising his magic hook. Ra sighed and nodded in agreement. He knew he was beaten. Maui and his brothers pulled off the net and freed Ra, slowing the sun down, which was a necessity within antiquity. Now, Maui is not a human being. Maui is not a person that actually lived and existed. Maui represents another aspect of nature, because this is all nature that is doing this. This is all happening within the closed system that we call Earth. It's the Earth that is doing this as the Earth goes through changes. I just got a super chat. Hold on, let me see who that was. Hold on, let me jump in. Oh, it's from King Ka. Thank you so much. Says, thank you for sharing your research and your knowledge. You're super welcome. I'm happy to. It's therapeutic for me too. Like, I don't know if you guys can relate, but I can't really talk to regular people about this kind of stuff often, you know? All right, jumping back into the Ragnarok, Revelation, the end of days, etc. Let's take a look at some other sun god types. Sutur. We have Sutur within Norse mythology. According to Norse mythology, there's Sutur with his bright, fiery sword that he has there. Sutur, it said, will end the world during Ragnarok. Ragnarok's whenever you see all of these strange earth anomalies appear at the same time, from geoplasmas that erupt out of volcanoes, which all of the volcanoes are going to erupt. And if you pay attention right now, they're all starting to. We just had and I've talked about this in the past. I've told people ahead of time that if what I'm saying is true and the inner earth is releasing a bunch of gases right now, you should start to see more extinct volcanoes erupting. And now we're starting to see that. So it's all coming together. The plan is coming together. Now, regarding Ragnarok, within the Norse epic, or history really, Gylfaginning, it says, the events of Ragnarok say that amid this turmoil, the sky will open, and from it will ride the sons of Muspel. Sutur will ride in front, and both before him and behind him there will be a burning fire. His sword will be very fine, like a line. Light will shine from it more brightly than from the sun itself. Now this is daylight. His sword will be actual daylight shining straight down from the sun. Because remember how I said daylight is the point of focus at the top, and then it redistributes into sort of a conical triangle over our world, right? Well, if it's getting finer and finer and more focused, pretty soon it'll be straight up and down. And it will hover because it's going to go off course instead of going coming back south during the summertime or after it passes the solstice in the summer. It's actually going to keep going further and further north until it spirals its way towards the North Pole and settles over the ancient land that used to be at the North Pole and will reemerge one day as well as Atlantis rises from the waters and the Garden of Eden comes back and the Fountain of Youth is seen once more. But yeah, the sun is going to take the place of that holy spot. That is the holy place in our world. It's the heart of the earth. That's where the original Jerusalem and Israel and Mesopotamia and Babylon and all of the original old cities that we associate with the quote-unquote Middle East, that's where they actually are, is at the North Pole. And the sun will hover over that place, and it will cast destructive light, a blue beam of like with laser-like power that will burn everything in its path. And according to the book of Revelation, the armies of the world, the nations of the world, are going to start creeping closer and closer to the Arctic Circle, getting closer and closer as nobility knows, because they're the ones that keep this secret of the apocalypse and cosmology and how our world really works. They're going to creep up on the Garden of Eden, and they're going to get ready to be the first ones in because it will seal itself back off after a time. So they need to get into the Garden of Eden. They need to return to Hyperborea, which is the name of my second book, which is all about this type of stuff. And that's available on my website, JayDreamerZ.com. But anyways, it says that the light is going to shine brighter and brighter. That's also a biblical prophecy that the light from the sun will get 7 times brighter and the light from the moon will get 7 times brighter. I hear something happening in the chat. Hold on, let me double check. Oh, maybe it's just the system I'm using. Oh, well. Anyways, let me jump back out here. All right, so we talked about Phaethon. We talked about Suitor. Well, who else do we got here? Huitzilopochtli. Huitzilopochtli, the Aztec god of the sun. It says representations of Huitzilopochtli usually show him as a hummingbird, or as a warrior with armor and a helmet made of hummingbird feathers. In a pattern similar to that found on many hummingbirds, his legs, arms, and the lower part of his face were painted one color, blue. Blue. There's a train going by, you'll have to excuse that. The upper half of his face was painted with another color, black. He wore an elaborate headdress and brandished a round shield and a turquoise snake. Let's take a look at him in just a minute. Here it talks about Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. Now, he was the lone survivor of an ancient apocalyptic event that happened within Native American tradition. It says Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, remained after the apocalypse, prophesying the destruction of Earth again, because this is cyclical. It happens over and over and over, right? One by water, one by fire. One by water, one by fire. It goes right back and forth like a pendulum from one to the next. The one on the way is fire. Be rest assured on that. We have the water already. It's called the ocean. He prophesied the destruction of Earth by wind and the evolution of humans into monkeys. That's a whole different YouTube video. But I have mentioned that many times. I don't think that monkeys turn into humans. I think it's actually quite the opposite. I think humans will turn into and mutate into different types of animals like pigs and monkeys and other things, wild men and wild women. Mutations will abound after this coming apocalyptic event because of the radioactivity that will be introduced into our world in certain areas. However, it won't be deadly radioactivity for the most part because the atmosphere will be so electrically amplified that it will stimulate your very cellular structure and allow you to live longer, and you'll be a lot healthier. So while mutations will abound, they're not going to kill you. You'll have different tribes of legendary mutant humans, just as we did during the Dark Ages. Here's Huitzilopochtli. Here's a sort of comic book conception. I like these kind of little better. You can see this hook that he has, very much similar to like Maui's hook, right? It's blue, and it's a snake. It's a serpent, because this is a fiery sword. It's a blue fiery sword. He's the sun god, it represents blue fire from the sun, which means the sun must turn blue in order for that to happen. It's blue daylight that will cook this world. Brennan Bacco just subscribed. High five to Brennan. Welcome to my channel, man. So yeah, notice Huitzilopochtli though. He's all blue except for his face. Except for his face, right? It's like he took the blue off of his face and it's just dark. It's just black. So let's think about this. If he represents the sun being blue at some point in time, being once in ancient history and once in our very near future, with a black face or a black mask or missing a part of his face. And this is how he was oftentimes portrayed. Blue fire coming down from the heavens. Now let's hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I think my computer's tripping and I'm getting all kinds of weird sound effects in my ears, but let me just double check the chat. It looks good. Okay, I don't know. I think it's my computer is messing up, but hopefully you guys can hear me okay. All right, sweet. Let's jump back into here. All right, so we talked about Phaethon, we talked about Maui, we talked about Suter, Huitzilopochtli. Let's talk about the blue star Kachina, okay? The blue star Kachina is a Hopi prophecy about what will happen before the world ends again, or restarts, I should say. It's not the end of the world, it's just the end of the world as we know it. The blue star Kachina is also known as Sakwasoha. As you can see here, well, it's kind of hard to see, but Sakwasoha is the blue star Kachina. As a Kachina doll, this blue star is very much painted in the exact same way as Huitzilopochtli, because they're the exact same. They just had different names for them throughout antiquity. As you can see, the blue star Kachina, all turquoise, just like we talked about earlier, the sun having a bit of turquoise in it, and then they put this black mask on his face, this blacked out part in the middle. His face represents his whole body because they just personify the sun and they give it arms and legs, just like they did with dragons of antiquity. They were just worms and squiggly lines in the air, and then people started adding legs and mustaches and feet and stuff like that to them. But this is a representation of the sun itself. That's why they have all these feathers coming out, it's the sun rays and stuff, right? Now, let's take a look at the Aztec myth. The Aztec legend, the Aztec history of what had happened and their prophecies. It says here, Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, prophesied the destruction of the earth by wind and the evolution of humans into monkeys. That's so interesting to me. And the present sun of fire, which will end in a general conflagration. A conflagration means a gigantic fire, of an unprecedented fire, okay? A conflagration means the whole world is on fire, basically. So this is going to happen, especially in the northern hemisphere. Not so much in the southern hemisphere as the sun starts to push its way further and further north each year. It'll actually get a lot colder in the southern hemisphere. And this is going to kick up all kinds of extreme weather all over the place. It already is, okay? It's already having an effect. This bright, hot sun is warming up the oceans, which is causing the oceans to expand, which is causing the water to rise, which is causing the oxygen to be released from the water, which is causing the fish and other things with gills that breathe that oxygen to suffocate and die and beach themselves and stuff. And all that death in the ocean is perfect conditions, warm water, a bunch of decaying debris and bodies and stuff in the water is perfect for bacteria, and bacteria will start to grow and the water becomes bitter and it changes color, and we get all of these harmful algal blooms and green pools and tides which will turn red, which will look blood red, which is a third of the ocean turning blood red, which means it necessitates that the ocean be replaced or removed so that the earth can refresh itself. It's not going to keep a decaying, dying ocean forever. It's going to replace it and get rid of it. That happens when, like it said earlier, the sky opens up. That's a depressurization of our atmosphere. When you have a gigantic depressurization of a large scale, you'll have an increase in buoyancy in the fluid that we live in called the atmosphere. What does that mean? Things will float. The oceans will float. The waters will float. They'll get sucked up and out of this world and they'll be removed. You'll look and the oceans, the seas will be no more, just as it says in the book of Revelation. All right, let's see. Let's get caught back up here. the blue star Kachina. So the blue star Kachina prophecy, let me get to one I like. Which picture do I like? This one works, whatever. The blue star Kachina prophecy basically says that the blue... Now listen, it's not a comet, okay? The Hopi knew what comets were. They knew the difference between a star and a comet. So stop... I have decided to stop looking for some blue comet or asteroid or whatever it may be. It's definitely not going to be one of the other stars. According to mainstream cosmology, those other stars out there are bigger than our sun oftentimes, right? The Bible says those stars are going to fall to the earth. So if you believe in the news, and if you believe in academics and your local governments, which means mind control, if you believe that, then there's no possible way that the Bible's literally right and that the stars will fall to the earth. And we're told that they were stupid in the past and they didn't understand what stars really were and they just saw meteor showers. They thought the stars were falling to the earth. No, the actual stars are going to actually fall because they're just lights in the sky and they're nearby and they're under the dome. What else? The blue star Kachina. Oh, that's right. So the prophecy says that the blue star Kachina will arrive. A dwelling place in the heavens will fall to the earth. The blue star Kachina itself will make its way to the plaza. Where's the plaza? The plaza of the earth is in the middle of the earth. A plaza is in the middle of a place, right? So where's the middle of the earth? It depends on your cosmology. My cosmology, the earth has, an edge where the dome comes down and meets it. And there's all kinds of, stuff out beyond the dome and stuff too. But as far as our local world, our local cosmology goes, the center of the earth is at the North Pole, right in the middle, like a bullseye. So the blue star, the sun turns blue and it makes its way towards the North Pole. Just as I just discussed earlier, it transgresses the northern tropic, it spirals inward, it bakes the earth, right? Possibly boiling the ocean water as it goes when it gets really hot, and creates the yellow brick road that in the post-apocalyptic world you can follow and go right to Oz, which is Hyperborea, Atlantis, etc., reemerged, which is where it will settle. It is also a form of the Antichrist, okay? The Christ light, or healing light, comes from the earth. It's a geoplasma at the center of the world that erupts straight up from Rupus Nigra, Mount Meru. If you look on these old maps and you see the island mass, just do a quick search of land at the North Pole. Right in the middle of that land is a volcano. All the gases inside of the earth are released all at once. Those gases ionize, they become plasma, ionized oxygen, which there's an abundance of oxygen inside of the earth right now being kept for the time. When that time comes, the gases are released, the oxygen ignites or activates and turns into plasma. It becomes blue or bluish green, depending on what other gases are mixed with it. So you'll have a life-giving blue beam that rises up right from the North Pole, from the throne of God, from the seat of God, from the holy city itself. But you have an anti-light or an antichrist, which is destructive, which is the sunlight that comes down and burns, and it causes desolation, and it's an abomination, and it rests in a holy place, which is at the center of the world, right? The abomination that causes desolation. Now, as I said before, the name the Hopi call the blue star Kachina is Sakwasoha. So let's see what Sakwasoha literally means and look at the etymology of the word. It's two words, Sakwa and Sohu. So if we take a look at Sakwa, it means star or celestial body. Very good. What does Sohu mean? To release, to discharge, to let loose, to open, to break forth. So we have a star, which is the sun is a star, right? And something being released from the sun or discharging from the sun itself, right? We have, which is daylight, getting hotter and hotter and hotter like a laser. So that's literally what the blue star Kachina's name means. It means discharge from the star, from our star, from the sun when it turns blue. Here it is. Now, let me just give you some visuals of what it looks like. I'm stammering. If I'm stammering right now, it's because I'm hearing the sound effects that I have on my thing. I don't know if you guys are hearing that. I hope not. I hope it's just me. But this is what the sun will start to look like. So white, it's going to start getting more blue in there, mixed in, and it's going to be acknowledged, and people are going to tell you it's always been there. It's always been bluish. And it's going to start looking like this. This is what the sun will look like whenever you see volcanic ash or, you know, stuff like that. It kind of makes the sun look a little blue, but it will actually start to turn blue. Also keep in mind, like I said, the world's volcanoes are starting to erupt. They're all going to start to erupt. You're going to have potholes. I mean, not potholes, sinkholes. You're going to have more strange lights in the skies. Those gases ionize or combust, and there's wildfires in different places. But this right here is the destroyer. This is the One Ring. This is the Ring of Death. Okay, this is the Huitzilopochtli. This is the blue star Kachina that has removed its mask, its blue face, and all you'll see is darkness behind it. And this has a lot to do with cosmology. It makes sense from my perspective. I don't know how academics would explain the sun not just turning blue, but black in the middle and dark in the middle. But it will look like a blue eclipse, basically, when it's at its peak and at its hottest. And you'll see the daylight. Like if I'm directly underneath it, daylight would just be straight down from this ring, basically. And that will hover over the North Pole. And this is happening. This is starting to happen. This is a news article that warns. This is Eyewitness News. And it warns people. Eyewitness, the eye in the sky. Extreme heat warning. And there you see the white sun with the blue tinge around it, right? Extreme heat, getting hotter and hotter. The impacts of extreme heat. Things are getting hotter. Here's another one. The sun is more active than usual. Oftentimes they'll say scientists can't figure out why. NASA doesn't know why. Why is the sun more active? When they say more active, they mean it's brighter. They mean it's hotter. And those of us who are a little older, we can remember back during yesteryear when the sun was yellow and the light was more diffuse and it was a little cooler in our world and you could stay out in the sun longer and stuff, right? Man, I looked up at the sun today at noon and it was already past noon. Like I looked up at the sky, it didn't match up. You know what I mean? Like it was already starting to set. It was going down and that's not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be midday. So lots of weird things are happening. This one says the sun was supposed to be sleeping, but scientists say it's waking up. The sun is waking up. It is waking up. And when the luminaries start to wake up, they'll wake up first before the firmament itself wakes up. And then you see, you know, quintessential ancient sky gods and goddesses return and reemerge as the sleepers all start to wake up. And then we go through another apocalyptic scenario. So, one more thing that I want to talk about as far as the sun and how it's changing, and it's clearly not yellow. Don't believe any of this fiery fireball in the sky type stuff. I've talked about what the sun actually is. I do think it's made out of helium, as they say. I do think it's plasma. I do believe that space exists between the dome and the earth, and that's where it is, right? But yeah. Maybe this is one of the reasons why they're trying to hide the sun. Many people have commented. I've got a couple of different theories of my own. I'll share them with you now. But people have told me that the chemtrails, they're trying to hide the sun or whatever, right? Yeah. If the sun is getting hotter and hotter and it's changing colors and we're going through a color spectrum shift, a solar color spectrum shift, as well as the moon, by the way. Moon used to be yellow too. Now it's white. And the moon is getting harder to look at as well, just as prophecy foretold. But yeah, if they're going to spray all of these particulates into the air, then it's going to diffuse that light. And it's going to cause it to be cooler, and we're not going to notice it. We're not going to see it. People don't look up anyways, but if you do, you're going to see something like this all the time. Dragon snake skins. I like to call these snake skins in the sky because it looks like, to me, it looks like when a snake sheds its skin or whatever. You know what I mean? A secondary reason, and I'll leave you with this thought, a secondary reason for them to not only put particulates into the air, but metallic particulates is, if I'm correct, and the sun acting up is leading towards the inevitable depressurization of our atmosphere as the firmament rips open, the sky opens up, and the atmosphere depressurizes. When that happens, there is plasma on the other side, right? That plasma is what gives us the light for the luminaries. That plasma is going to snake its way into our world, and it will be destructive. It will turn things into rock. It will petrify people. It will blow things up. It will cause craters, electrical shock impact craters. not from rocks, but from electricity. These are the thunderbolts of the gods. These are Zeus's thunderbolts, etc. So it's very dangerous. So the people, the nobles and stuff, the people who basically run the world, they don't want their family who's going to survive and hopefully inherit, the world or whatever, and try to put it back together and try to take control once again. They want them to survive. They don't want to poison the air for them or for themselves or anything. This will act as, or I think that they believe, okay? I don't believe this because the atmosphere is going to get sucked out anyway, but maybe this will act as a temporary blocker or something. I don't know. But if it was to stay here and they're aware that cosmic plasma is going to come in from above, then as it passes through these metallic particulates, it will disperse and it will have a less damaging effect whenever the atmosphere becomes electrically amplified once again. And once again, thank you so much for watching my channel. If you want to support me, go to JayDreamerZ.com. Check out my website. Go to patreon.com/JayDreamerZ where you can jump into the credits, which I'm about to roll right now. Until next time, I'm JayDreamerZ saying good vibes and goodbye.